Imagine that you are standing beneath a pitch-black night sky when all of a sudden you come to the realization that one of the many points of light overhead is not simply another star, rather it is something that is traveling through the huge ocean that is our solar system. This is exactly what took place in October of 2017, when an unknown visitor emerged from the depths of interstellar space and raced past our planets at speeds that completely defied our assumptions. As it passed through our cosmic neighborhood, astronomers from all around the world aimed their telescopes towards it and watched in awe as it passed into our neighborhood. The speed of the item was not the only thing that surprised them. It was also its shape, its motion, and the manner that it acted, as if it were breaking every norm that is known about how natural objects travel through space. The name Oumuamua, which comes from the Hawaiian language and means a messenger from afar, arriving first, was eventually given to this peculiar wanderer. The object was elongated like a cosmic spindle, measuring hundreds of meters in length, but just a fraction of that width. It was spinning in a chaotic manner as it rolled over and over again. The sunlight was reflected off of it as if it were made of polished metal, and it glistened with a brilliance that was almost artificial. This was unlike any comet or asteroid that we had ever seen. However, the most shocking discovery was made when scientists discovered that it was accelerating, which means that it was not slowing down as gravity would normally dictate, but rather rushing away from the sun without any obvious cause. It was impossible to explain the push because there was no tail, no vapor, no dust, and no jets of gas, only silence and motion that was completely incomprehensible. Among those who investigated it was Avi Loeb, an astronomer at Harvard University. When he examined the evidence, he had the courage to pose a question that the majority of scientists would not have the courage to ask: what if this object wasn't completely natural? Imagine for a moment that it was a piece of technology, something akin to a lightweight sail, designed to travel between the stars by utilizing the moderate but consistent pressure of sunlight. Within the scientific community, the mere concept was sufficient to cause shockwaves to be sent about. The majority of people quickly disregarded it, referring to it as science fiction or speculation. On the other hand, Avi's argument was straightforward. If it appears to be unlike anything we have ever seen before and acts like nothing that nature can easily generate, then perhaps we shouldn't rule out the possibility of the unimaginable. Despite this, the world continued to progress. In the process of departing our system, Oumuamua vanished into the void, leaving behind data as well as uncertainty. A lot of people wished that it was only a one-time occurrence, but destiny had other things in store for us. Another intergalactic object has arrived 8 years after it was first discovered. 3I Atlas is the name of this object, and just like Oumuamua, it originates from beyond our solar system. In contrast, this one has rewritten the rulebook in a way that is not just innovative, but also considerably more unsettling. There is no acceleration of 3I Atlas as it gets closer to the sun, in contrast to its predecessors. It is becoming less rapid, and according to the laws of physics that we are familiar with, that ought to be impossible. Because of this, it is important. Every natural comet experiences an acceleration as it gets closer to the sun. The icy surface is illuminated by sunlight, which causes frozen gases to vaporize and shoot forth, propelling the object forward in a manner similar to that of a series of miniature thrusters. The conservation of momentum is a fundamental principle in physics. Through the course of several centuries, we have witnessed similar behavior in thousands of comets. In spite of this, 3I Atlas breaks the law. It is experiencing a slow and consistent reduction in velocity, which is a modest but quantifiable braking impact that no known natural process can create. Instead of being driven faster by sunlight, it is experiencing this. Now, give some thought to what that implies. There is a lot of resistance to the rules of motion. Nothing in nature can slow down an object like this, especially not in outer space, far away from planets or gas clouds. Gravity pulls and light pushes, but nothing in nature can slow it down. The data from a number of different observatories, however, all point to the same conclusion. The James Webb Space Telescope, Mars orbiters, and ground-based radar equipment all show the same pattern. In just 3 days, from September 23 to September 26, Atlas slowed from 68.2 kilometers per second to 67.9 kilometers per second. The difference is only 0.3 kilometers per hour. But for statistical purposes, it is a significant one. There is no movement in a single direction for random noise. Mistakes in measurements are scattered. The difference is that this is directed, continuous, and focused. There is a gentle application of the brakes by something. It is what Avi Loeb refers to as the smoking gun. According to him, it is impossible to maintain a steady deceleration when traveling at a high speed without maintaining some type of control. One of two things is happening. Either we are observing a piece of technology, such as a craft that is capable of propulsion or drag, or we are observing physics that we do not yet fully comprehend. The acceleration of Oumuamua by 0.4 kilometers per second in 2017 was enough to spark years of debate on its own. Currently, 3I Atlas has reversed its previous behavior, slowing down by 0.3 kilometers per second, but in a direction that cannot be explained by natural processes. The distinction may be inconspicuous, but the repercussions are really significant. So what could possibly be the reason of this? There are 3 primary hypotheses, and each one seems more peculiar than the one that came before it. First, there is the idea of a soulless sail that functions in reverse. Imagine a surface that is a vast and extremely thin surface, similar to a mirror that is stretched across kilometers, but instead of using sunlight to propel itself ahead, it tilts in such a way that the steady stream of photons actually slows it down. When you use resistance to slow down rather than speed up, it is analogous to turning a sailboat into the wind. The object must keep a precise angle relative to the sunlight in order for that to work, and it must also be able to adjust for changes in motion with an extremely high degree of precision. However, it appears that 3I Atlas does just that. Its rotation is stable even to the point of natural stability. On the other hand, this one maintains its orientation as if it were being directed by an internal system or control mechanism, whereas natural things fall in a chaotic manner. In the second theory, an undetectable propulsion mechanism is proposed. It's possible that Atlas is outfitted with a sophisticated drive that generates thrust or drag at a level that is below our present detection levels. This would be comparable to ion propulsion, but it would be much more refined. In the vicinity of the object's nucleus, a few researchers have observed small emissions which appear to be a peculiar green light and could be the result of plasma activity or electromagnetic discharge. In the event that it is propulsion, it is so subtle that even our most sensitive detectors are unable to detect it. However, the question that really matters is energy. An energy source that we're not even close to being able to comprehend would be necessary for a system that is capable of operating over interstellar distances for millions of years. Using planetary flybys to subtly adjust path and speed, not by chance but by purpose, is the third and most speculative notion. This idea involves gravitational manipulation. During the relatively close approach that Atlas made to Mars in the beginning of October, astronomers saw a little but continuous change in its course. It appeared as though Atlas was using the gravity of Mars as a handbrake. Its subsequent close approach, which is predicted to take place in March 2026 near Jupiter, may reveal even more significant alterations. In the event that these modifications are exactly aligned, the probability of a random coincidence occurring becomes extremely low, with a probability of fewer than 1 in 50,000. There is one uncomfortable reality that may be reached by every path you take, regardless of the explanation you choose. Unlike a piece of trash that is floating through space, 3I Atlas is not behaving in this manner. It is acting as if it were something that was done on purpose. There is something conscious. Rather than merely going by, it is a matter of slowing down, adjusting and watching, possibly even making preparations to remain. What sets Atlas apart from every other guest that we have encountered is the fact that it is so radically unique. We were left wondering what we had missed out on because Oumuamua appeared and disappeared in an instant. The other side of the coin is that Atlas appears to want us to take notice. The way it moves gives the impression that it is intentional and premeditated, as if it were extending its stay in order to observe us or to wait for something. A pattern begins to develop when you line up these two events, Oumuamua speeding up as it left and Atlas slowing down as it comes. Both of these events occur one after the other. While the first one rushes in, the second one stays still behind, as if they were a part of a bigger sequence. Two cosmic messages acting in opposite directions could be seen. There may not be accidents, but rather signals, which are phases in the process of something unfolding that is beyond our comprehension. On the other hand, it's possible that we aren't really observing isolated quirks at all. It is possible that we are observing the preliminary steps of contact, which are not being observed through communication or landing crafts, but rather through silent observation. Those things that appear natural enough to pass our initial checks, but behave in a manner that is just slightly out of the ordinary enough to warrant a second look. Assuming that this is the case, the narrative of 3i Atlas is not solely about a peculiar rock that is located in space. The key is to adopt a different point of view. It is about the moment when humanity realizes that the universe might not be a peaceful, empty emptiness after all, but rather a gigantic ocean that has already been traversed by travelers who know how to navigate between stars, waiting for us to eventually see them.